Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. For today's video, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the 2019 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 convertible. In this review, I'm going to cover all of the ins and outs from performance and handling to interior features, pricing, and so much more. I'll also take it for a thorough drive and get a handful of sound clips. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up and let her run. The 2019 Corvette ZR1 is a car that needs no introduction. It's the fourth generation of this iconic nameplate and the pinnacle of the C7 lineup. Along with being the fastest and most powerful production Corvette in history, the new LT5 V8 has an output that eclipses every Chevrolet production vehicle up to this point. It's a car that's not only blisteringly fast but designed to absolutely excel on the track. The ZR1's unique and aggressive bodywork was designed for two purposes: cooling and aerodynamics. This car is packing 13 radiators, which is 5 more than what you'll find in a Z06, so of course proper ventilation was an absolute necessity. The front fascia draws in 40% more air than the Z06. There's a huge downforce generating front splitter and even an exclusive Corvette racing derived airfoil underneath the front clip, which helps produce additional downforce by ducting air up through the engine bay and out the hood. Once it passes through the hood, it goes over the windshield and back out towards the wing. Speaking of the hood, that was one of my favorite design elements of the previous ZR1. You had a clear plastic window that allowed an excellent view to the supercharger underneath. However, the 2019 ZR1 has what's called the halo hood. It's left intentionally open in the middle to allow plenty of clearance for the new engine and supercharger, which together is quite a bit taller than the current Z06. The car is already generating quite a bit more downforce in its standard form, but if you take it to the extreme and go for the optional ZTK performance package, you get this huge adjustable rear wing that bolts directly to the chassis, as well as a pair of carbon fiber end caps on the front splitter that, as a collective, help the ZR1 generate up to 950 pounds of downforce. The previous generation ZR1 was the first Corvette to truly benefit from an expanded use of carbon fiber. For 2019, the ZR1 continues this by using more carbon fiber than any other Corvette currently on sale. So much so that it's actually an integral part of both the new car's design as well as its performance. You'll find carbon fiber used for the front splitter, rear wing, hood, engine cover, rocker panels, as well as the bezels and vents on the front fenders. Pricing starts at $133,090 for the coupe and $137,090 for the convertible. Both of those include a $1,095 destination charge and $2,100 for the gas guzzler tax. This example is equipped with quite a few optional extras, including the 3ZR trim configuration. Total MSRP for what you see here is approximately $142,390. The ZR1 features an exclusive wheel design that's available in 4 finishes, including gloss black like you see here. They measure 19 by 10.5 inches in front and 20 by 12 inches in the rear. The ZR1's front wheels are half an inch wider than the front wheels found in the Z06 to account for a slightly heavier nose. Despite this, the tires are shared between the two. They're Michelin Pilot Super Sports, 285/30s in front and 335/25s in the rear. They offer a ton of grip, but if you go for the ZTK Performance package, the Super Sports are swapped out for ultra sticky Sport Cup 2 tires. Hey everyone, I wanted to talk for a quick minute about Lexol products. They've been making high quality products in the US now for over 85 years, and they've actually been my go-to leather care brand for quite a while now. They recently just sent me over some stuff to try out on the personal vehicles, which was excellent timing because everything needed a deep cleaning. The brand offers a 2-step cleaning care process in order to rejuvenate and maintain the condition of your leather to keep it looking fresh for the long term. The Lexol Deep Cleaner is step 1. It loosens and lifts away the dirt, debris, and oils that gets trapped in your leather over time without leaving behind a messy residue. After that, you just follow up with the Lexol Deep Conditioner. Just spray it on, rub in, buff, and wipe it off. Simple as that. The formula is designed to penetrate deep into the leather to restore its suppleness and strength and guard against premature aging and cracking. I'll be the first to admit I am exceptionally picky when it comes to the products that I use on my personal cars. So I've always appreciated the continued commitment to quality and the consistent results of Lexol products. So follow the link in the description box below to pick up some bottles for your ride today. Beefy Brembo carbon ceramic brakes come as standard equipment. These are also offered in the Z06. The setup consists of 2-piece rotors with 15.5-inch front discs and 15.3-inch discs in the rear, with fixed aluminum calipers, 6-piston in front and 4-piston in the rear. The ZR1 setup is slightly different from the Z06 as the front rotors have been upgraded to more effectively dissipate heat. There's also a new hybrid street track brake pad design. It probably goes without saying, but stopping performance is amazing. These brakes bite really hard. The pedal feel is excellent and it's easy to modulate the pressure. Plus, temperatures are kept in check thanks to dedicated brake cooling ducts in the front and rear. Also, for added personalization, there's 4 caliper colors to choose from. The steering is a variable ratio rack and pinion design with electric power assistance. It's pretty much the same setup as any other C7, there's been no major changes for the ZR1. Any improvements in handling and feel are related to suspension tuning. That being said, the steering feels sweet. It's very responsive, there's a lot of feedback that comes through the wheel, and you gotta love that carbon fiber steering wheel, and I'll talk about that more when we get to the interior. You can also adjust the steering firmness through the drive modes. The C7's basic suspension design carries over to the ZR1 with the exception of different tuning. It's a short, long-arm double wishbone suspension, front and rear, with cast aluminum upper and lower control arms, transverse composite springs, and magnetic ride control adaptive dampers. The firmness of the dampers can also be adjusted through the drive modes. The ZR1's road manners are surprisingly well composed. The suspension is very stiff, but it's by no means uncomfortable. The magnetic ride control does a pretty good job still of filtering out harsh imperfections. But everything as a whole leads to a car that just stays glued to the pavement, and there's almost no body roll at corners very flat. With the ZTK Performance Package, spring rates are beefed up by 30% in front and 13% in the rear. You also get different tuning for the magnetic ride control. Like I said, the ZR1 has a host of drive modes, plus Chevrolet's Performance Traction Management System. I've talked about these in other C7 reviews, so if you'd like to learn more about how all of that works, there's some links in the description below. The biggest difference with the ZR1 is that you don't have as many drive modes. Here, it's just Tour, Sport, and Track. Very simple. The new ZR1 is powered by a hand-assembled 6.2-liter supercharged V8 known as the LT5. It's based on the Z06's LT4 engine, which if you remember developed 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. There were a lot of changes done in creating the LT5, but perhaps the biggest is the new Eaton TVS Roots Type supercharger, which increases output to 755 horsepower at 6,300 RPM and 715 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 RPM. The new blower sits 2.9 inches higher than the one found in the LT4 and packs 52% more internal volume. It develops 13 psi of boost versus 9.4 psi, despite turning slower at the engine's 6,500 RPM redline. Some of the other changes include a larger throttle body, upgraded internals with a new forged steel crankshaft, and new top mount intercoolers with about twice the heat transfer capability versus the ones in the LT4. That's not all though. In order to maximize the performance of the LT5, the new ZR1 has become the first GM vehicle to use a combination of direct and port fuel injection. Pretty interesting stuff. All of this leads to a car that can do 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds and reach a top speed of over 200 miles per hour. The exact number depends on which body style you go with and whether you go for the ZTK performance package. This particular example would have a top speed of around 208 miles per hour. The sound this thing makes is absolutely unreal. Of course, there's an active exhaust system just like you would find on a lot of C7 Corvettes, but Chevrolet claims this is the loudest, most aggressive sounding production Corvette ever. The ZR1's exhaust actually packs unique spring-loaded valves that smooths out the transition to full volume, so it crescendos instead of being like an on-off switch. For the first time, Chevrolet is offering the ZR1 with a choice between two transmissions, either a 7-speed manual with selectable auto rev matching or an optional 8-speed automatic with steering wheel paddle shifters. If you remember, the previous generation ZR1 was manual only. If it were me, I'd definitely have to go for the manual because that 7-speed is such a sweet transmission, especially with the auto rev match feature. And while I haven't driven a ZR1 with it, based on my past experiences of other C7 Corvettes, I think it would be a match made in heaven. The 8-speed is certainly going to broaden the car's appeal to a wider range of customers, but unfortunately, it kind of takes away something from the car. The transmission isn't as snappy and responsive as I was hoping it would be, especially compared to GM's new 10-speed automatic or even ZF's 8-speeds. So if you didn't want to fool with the clutch, the 8-speed is a good transmission. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but it doesn't feel as engaging as it could be. Controlling torque delivery at the rear is an electronic limited slip differential. As far as fuel economy with the automatic transmission, the ZR1 is rated at 12 miles per gallon in the city and 20 miles per gallon on the highway. You can expect an average of around 15 miles per gallon. Premium gas is required with a total capacity of 18.5 gallons. The C7's high-quality and feature-laden interior carries over pretty much unchanged for the ZR1. You can configure the interior between two different trims, 1ZR or 3ZR. This example is equipped with the latter, which comes at a $10,000 premium. It includes all of the standard and otherwise optional features associated with the 1ZR, along with a plethora of exclusive content. For example, the majority of the 3ZR's interior is wrapped in leather, while the visors, A-pillars, and windshield trim are wrapped in suede microfiber. And like all C7s, brushed aluminum trim highlights the doors, dash, and center console. As far as options, this example has extended microfiber trim across the doors, dash, seats, console, and steering wheel. Something else pretty cool is that while the 1ZR is only offered with a black interior, the 3ZR can be had with a handful of two-tone options, as well as the option of accent stitching. Like any C7, there's two seat options, the standard GT seats or the performance-oriented competition seats shown here. Both are built on strong yet lightweight magnesium frames and offer 8-way power adjustments for the driver and passenger. The competition seats offer more pronounced bolstering to hold you in tight during high G cornering. They're a bit on the stiff side, but like the GT seats, they include power lumbar. For what they are, they're relatively comfortable. Heated and ventilated seats are included on the 3ZR, along with a memory package for the driver's seat. As far as amenities, a ZR1 with the standard 1ZR configuration includes a 9-speaker Bose audio system and an 8-inch infotainment system. There's Bluetooth, voice recognition technology, a rear-view camera, and a built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot. Plus, you have all of the media options you could ever want, things like HD and satellite radio, and even Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. A heads-up display is also standard, along with a reconfigurable instrument cluster and dual-zone climate control. Of course, that just scratches the surface. Aside from what I've talked about already, the 3ZR adds a 10-speaker Bose audio system with a rear-mounted subwoofer, front curved view cameras, auto-dimming mirrors, a universal home remote, and more. Navigation and the Chevrolet Performance Data Recorder are optional on the 1ZR and standard on the 3ZR. I went more in depth on these systems in some of my prior reviews, so if you'd like to learn more about the C7's interior, check out some of the links I have in the description box below. As far as trunk space, the Corvette is relatively practical depending on how you look at it. If you go for the coupe, you have a maximum of 15 cubic feet worth of space and the convenient hatch orientation. But with the convertible, you have a maximum of 10 cubic feet, and that's with the top up. If you put the top down, you have to lower that little partition, which does take up vital space. There's a little cargo net, some covered storage to the left, plenty of illumination, and a 12-volt power outlet. For convenience, there's a built-in soft close mechanism. Now let's go ahead and see how she sounds. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the 2019 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1. Be sure to stay tuned next time, leave a like and subscribe today. There's always a lot more where that came from. Take care everyone.